Boy, you know you make me float. Boy, you really get me high. Ooh,
hello, friends. We are back and black and curious. I'm Kandron.
What's going on? It's your girl Dehjai. And for some reason, the name's popped up on the screen. So here you go.
Oh. Who knew? Are you having a cocktail?
I am, and I'm excited.
Good for you.
Today. I'm having a mimosa, but it's a grapefruit mimosa, so that way I don't feel
nice.
Lushy. But yeah.
Yes, I am not. I'm drinking water. I had more than enough cocktails for weeks and weeks over the weekend. So,
well, everybody, it was Miss Kandron girl's birthday, so happy belated, friend.
Thank you. So, yeah, I am not drinking. I'm drinking water until my trip.
Ain't no drinking to drink today.
No, I just drank a lot. Like I just drank a lot, walking and drinking, and it was just a lot. So, and I hadn't been out. I hadn't been out since the pandemic, so I don't have a tolerance anymore. So,
yeah, I get that. You drink a little bit too much and you be feeling it.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't really hang over. Like I'll wake up in the morning feeling fine, but like, except like I'm not nauseous or anything or like headachy. I don't really hang over. I just be feeling like, probably should take it easy. That's how I feel. So I felt fine the next day. I just was like, oof, I drank a lot. And I need some water. Like I'm maybe a little dehydrated. Like that was the worst of it. So
probably because you walking this hot and you drinking.
Yeah. So anyways, we have this is me in my mess coming here with an unpopular opinion related to the Housewives of Salt Lake City. Okay, so listen, it just debuted and Mary is weird. We've talked about Mary before in our in our housewife swap episode, I think that was related to Ebony, but we talked about her before. And the girls talk bad about Mary because she's married to her step grandpa. I have an unpopular opinion about that though. I think she did the right thing.
Now what now?
Okay. Pause for reaction. Okay.
Hold on. The TV decided it wanted to turn on.
Oh no. All right. But the subtext of this is Black people need wills. Okay, listen. I was listening to the Bravo docket. I told y'all about this podcast before, and I really like it. They did a whole backstory about Mary's grandma. And like this lady had a lot of money and like started all of these successful businesses and did all of this stuff, made all of this money, and then married this guy. And there was suspicion around Robert in Mary's grandma's passing.
Oh.
Nevertheless, so marries him, she dies, no will. So the way the law is set up, friends, Black people need wills, is that it goes to your spouse. Now, like, of course, when the laws were set up, it was set up that everybody's had a nuclear family and everybody kind of stayed together. And like, that was that on that. But that's not how it is anymore. And if you're having second marriages and stuff, you need a will.
Girl,
so the only way for him or for Mary's family to get back into the inheritance was for somebody from her family to go marry Robert.
Girl, that is messy.
So Mary took one for the team and went and got her grandma's shit. That was her grandma's money. She worked for it. And they was going to be cut out. And he was going to be on to the next lady spending all of grandma's money down the block.
That is so tragic. I have been on my mom particularly about, not because like she's wealthy and rolling in the dough, but like just about making sure that she has her will together and letting her know these are the things that I want. It's also as everybody else. I want this, and this. Everybody else can have, all the other shit. I don't care about that.
Correct.
But the things that I want are family heirlooms to me. I have some of them now, which is furniture from my grandfather's house. The
Right.
furniture that is in my mother's bedroom, that also I want. And I told her, because that furniture is old as shit, and the way it's made, I'm gonna have to get a picture of it so that I can like share it with y'all. But it's made from like, it's got to be, they had to have bought that in the 50s, maybe 40s, but it's like a wave and it's solid wood. So they carved this wood to be like a wave, and it has like these like diamond style like pulls for the drawers.
Yeah.
And then it has like this thick ass on the top of it, like the surface, it has thick glass that sits on top of it. Now my father has broken one of the glass pieces, and my mother is livid about it because the shit has been in the family for years, and then we get it to Virginia and you break it. Like, how did you do that? So, but nonetheless, that's one of the things that I want. So to your point about Black people needing to have wills, like, hello, like my mom needs to write this in the will that these are the things that Dehjai is getting. Because I don't care about the other shit. You can have it, sis.
And like, it's especially important when you have, you know, again, we're living in modern times. You have kids from different marriages or different relationships. You remarry. Like, you need to make sure that you have everything going where it is that you want it to go. So, you know, everybody's name needs to be on the document for where it needs to go. That's just like people have insurance policies and never update their beneficiaries. Like, they never update their beneficiaries as an ex-wife or ex-husband that ends up getting
all this money.
And y'all been divorced for 20 years because you left him on your paperwork.
Hello.
And so in this situation, I know it is gross. I know it feels gross. And I know that, like, for me, it's like, I don't know if I would be able to take that one. But listen, in order to keep the money in the family, that was what needed to have happened. And
she did what needed to be done.
Did what needed to be done. And Mary now has, you know, a son by him. And then it seems like they're kind of like live their separate lives anyway. Like, they don't share bedrooms, they share no closets, they share nothing. She disclosed last night on the episode that Robert actually did COVID, the whole quarantine thing in Florida, in their like Florida home, and she was back in Salt Lake City. So it's like, it seems like they're living separate lives. It just feels like she just took one for the team. Like, listen, my grandma worked really hard, and I'm not getting ready to go back to being poor, or I'm not getting ready to start over while this man
lives off
skedaddles off of what my grandma worked for down the block with this new lady, with whoever new lady he finds. I don't think so. And so I contend that Mary did the right thing.
Indeed. I based upon the story that you are giving us, I would agree with you on that. It's a little creepy, it's a little sketch, it's a little nasty.
It's sketchy, but this is not Mary's fault. This is Mary's grandma's fault, because she didn't have her affairs in order.
And like, according to Mary, her story is that her grandmother wanted her to marry her husband. That was like her dying wish when she went to see her, you know, as she was passing.
I don't think that happened. I don't. That doesn't give me truth, honestly. It does not feel true to me. However, you know, maybe her grandma was thinking about it that way too. Like, look,
I fucked up.
Yeah, like, somebody got to go get the money. Like, this is the only way. So you go do it. You want the money, don't you? And it looks like Mary. It just looks like she likes money, and she likes to buy the things, the nice things.
And I said, I'm gonna be wealthy, honey.
Somebody said her closet looks like designer hoarders. Like, it's not even like well laid out or whatever. And she dresses like a designer hoarder. Like, it's not even her looks don't be looking. Okay,
but y'all, I assure you, I am not like a bad person, but I am my mother's child.
All right, here we go.
That said, there was a scene where I think Bravo was doing like a recap of their last season. And there was a scene where Mary was standing there talking on the phone to somebody, but her elbows was black. I mean, black.
Oh no.
Like blackety black. And I was like, what? And at first I was like, well, maybe she has on like another shirt underneath that might be flesh tone, but it has like the pad things, the elbow patches from back in the 80s. And so, but like they zoomed in on her and I was like, damn, her elbows is dark. And it was like not just here, but it was like here and all the way back.
I heard on another YouTube channel that she bleached or something, maybe.
That's what I was going there. That's exactly where I was going. Because I was like, damn, it looks like she bleached her skin, but like they always say that places that you can't get the color lift is right up in here.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and they've shown pictures. I've seen pictures of her, like older pictures of her, and she looked
browner.
Yeah, she did.
I don't know why I noticed it. Well, I do know why. I'm my mother's child. Like my mom used to be adamant about me not scarring up my knees and my elbows because I was light skinned. She was like, it's gonna look like Miss Mary. Like she done bleached her shit, but she couldn't get none of this. Ooh. Lord, that threw me off. That's all. I'm gonna shut up now. I feel like I sound like
it's fine. It's fine. Mary's she's an odd little duck. Bless her heart.
Very.
Usually how that goes. So anyways, that's my whole argument. Black people, if you are out here willless, please go get yourself a will. Especially if you have children, especially if you have people in your life who you are estranged from and you don't want them to have your things and they are in your line of succession. Even if you just have a few dollars that you want to shoot to a cousin or a niece or an auntie or whatever, or whoever, or like a godchild that's not even in your bloodline, like make sure you have your affairs in order.
Please. That's the first thing I did once I started working in corporate America. I went ahead and put my niece and my nephew as my beneficiaries.
Yeah.
Because they're, like that way, if something happens to me or whatever the case may be, they'll have money that they can use to go to school with, if that's what they choose to do. Or I set it so that they will receive it on their 25th birthday. So,
and that's the other thing, like you can set up, it's not just a will, it's like an estate, a whole entire estate plan. Full disclosure, this is something that I'm like super into. Even though I don't practice in this area, this is an area I thought I was going to practice in. So it's like a whole estate plan. Like you can set up trusts to activate and do different things. You can set up insurance policies as a part of your estate plan. This is not legal advice, clearly, because I'm not being specific, but you can set up all kinds of things to all kinds of mechanisms to send money and things where you want them to go, so that you're not, so that people aren't fighting.
It's not fighting in the end. Yes.
Yeah. Also, so people aren't fighting, or there's no confusion about it, or any of that.
I think
and it saves you money, because sometimes you don't have to go through, probate and stuff like that if you have your stuff in trust or whatever the case may be. Like some stuff automatically triggers at the time of your passing. So
I also would say that too, I think that it's beneficial to take Kandron's advice. Okay. But especially like for those of us who come from families who don't necessarily have a lot, in the sense of wealth or anything like that, but you have to be able to take care of your loved one when they pass on. I am someone who has experienced a lot of death in my short years here on this earth, and very early on at that. And so some of the elders made sure to have wills and things established. Like my grandfather had everything set up and my mom was the executor of his will. But in regards to like other family members, they didn't necessarily do that. So like it was just word of mouth. You get this, you get that, and but then it's still like it leaves room for potential for there to be like backbiting in the sense of oh well, you're trying to take everything that belonged to such and such and so and it's just not necessary. Like the worst my worst experience in that wasn't so much that we were fighting over, or that anybody was fighting over the deceased belongings, but my uncle Damien died when he was 35.
Wow.
He passed in a tragic car accident in 2011. And in his passing, he didn't have anything. And at the time, my mom is his only living relative on that side of the family. And so she also did not have the means to bury him in the way in which we buried everyone else that had passed on, primarily because my mom had been doing all these things for the home, like getting all this stuff fixed and like whatever have you. So either way, didn't have the funds to bury him. And so it took like damn near crowdsourcing in a sense between all the family members and friends of the family to come up with money to bury him.
Right.
And we ended up, instead of burying him, we ended up cremating him, which is not a tradition of ours, but the funeral home offered it to us as a deep discount, I guess, primarily because he heard the story of what had happened. And how he had passed. And this is a white gentleman. He was hella nice. I don't even remember the name of the funeral home because at that time it was such a fucking blur. But to the point of having things in order. Right. When my uncle passed, he had a daughter who is like, she and I think are 9 years apart. And there was nothing left, like nothing for her outside of her having a relationship, or trying to have, let me correct myself, because if you ever watch this, boo, I'm not trying to speak for you, but like trying to have a relationship with her family that was related to him. Like she doesn't necessarily really know us that well because we've always lived out of state. So, but yeah, like to the point of all of that, it's beneficial to whether you have money or not to have things set in order. Because the shit that we went through was not, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. And even with that, like insurance and stuff, like I know, like speaking from, I'm always going to say a place of privilege, but like insurance policies aren't typically that expensive, especially when you're younger, if you get them when you're younger. Yeah. So you know, that's a way to maybe, if you don't have a lot to set aside necessarily, but just to pay up on that to make sure that your family can, like you said, afford your final expenses properly. So, I mean, this took a turn. I mean, I was coming here to be silly, but really, seriously.
No, that's like a real conversation. It's stuff that I think about.
Yeah.
My father is someone who does not necessarily, he don't have, to my knowledge, there's no insurance on him, and my mom was trying to get me to do that a few years ago, and it just was not necessarily within my financial means to do it.
Right.
So I wonder, you know, like I pray that nothing happens to him anytime soon. I hope that he is here well into his hundreds, right?
Of course.
But it's just something that I think about, because I'm like, you know, it's like a family crutch in the sense that nobody knows how to properly do anything, or at least nobody does. I don't know. So I don't necessarily want to go all deep into this. I mean,
of course not. It's your family business or whatever. Like,
yeah. But I just wanted to say all that from the point of like, I've experienced this, and so like Kandron's, even though it was meant to be funny, like it's real, and you really need to take care of your affairs.
Yeah, it is. And I say that especially if you know, remarry or you have kids from, you know, different relationships or what have you. It's like, especially if you get remarried, like then you're relying on the person who's not their biological parent to care for them, and like that's not necessarily, and you hope that people do the right thing when you pass, but that's not always the case. And some people can get clouded by money, or even not even just that, just like, oh well, I took care of them while they were in my household, then they move on and get remarried or something, and now, you know, you've worked hard for your child to get nothing in the end.
I even had this was last year. I had a customer contact us about trying to, set up the arrangements to make sure that they get access to their father's funds.
Right.
And she told me her whole story. And she basically was like that the wife absconded with all the information and skipped town, and like they had a will, they had everything, because she ran off. He died, and then 2 weeks later she like packed up all her shit and was gone. Like she was trying to find, get whatever information she could to basically speak to, like, I am his daughter, I do have access to these things. But she had to, like, the story, if we were on the phone for probably a good 30 minutes with her telling me this story, and I was just so astonished, like, that is so illegal. And she was like, girl, I know.
People do weird stuff all the time. That's how I'm like, it's not just a will, it's also making sure like your whole estate plan is together, because it's there's more than one tool that you can use in your estate plan to make sure that people are taken care of as you would like them to be taken care of. So
I agree.
So anyways, that's it, I think.
Wraps up this conversation.
Like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube, and then follow us on Instagram, Black and Curious, and on Twitter, Black and the letter N Curious. And I sometimes do reality recap. I started doing Salt Lake City, but wasn't nothing going on. So anyways.
No, last night was a little boring. So whatever.
The whole night, all of it was boring. So anyways, see you guys next time. Later.
Bye.
You said you wanna send me love.